Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm here to help you relax tonight. Though before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Let's enjoy the story. So, if you use buses or trains to get home at night, listen all the way through to this, okay? Because what happened on my route home sounds fake. Sounds like one of those made-up Reddit stories, but it messed with my head so much that even now, years later, there are nights where a bus goes by and every hair on my arm stands up. And the worst part? The last thing the driver ever said to me was, "You weren't supposed to still be here." Anyway, here's what actually happened. My name's Jake. This started about 4 years ago when I moved to a bigger city for work. I was doing late shifts at this crappy call center. We'd close around midnight, and by the time we wrapped up and cleaned our stations, it'd be about 12:30, sometimes closer to 1 in the morning. I didn't have a car back then, so I used the same bus every night, the 47, last one of the night, around 1:10 a.m. On paper, nothing about it sounds scary, just another late bus route, quiet streets, flickering streetlights, the usual. But that bus, it started to feel wrong in ways that are hard to explain, because it wasn't about jump scares or some obvious monster. It was more like reality just kept slipping a little each night until I couldn't tell what was normal anymore. Let me set it up. The route was simple. I'd leave work, cut through this half-lit parking lot, walk past a closed bakery and a 24/7 laundromat, then cross to a bus stop right under this buzzing street lamp. The stop had a plastic shelter, scratched-up glass, and a metal bench that was always colder than the air. From there, the 47 took about 35 minutes to get me close to my apartment complex. I'd ride, get off at Oak Ridge, walk 5 minutes, done. At first, everything was normal. Some nights the bus was empty. Some nights there were a few drunk people. Sometimes an old guy asleep in the back. The driver was always the same. Mid-50s, pale skin, thinning gray hair, heavy bags under his eyes. His name tag said Norman. He never chatted, never smiled, just nodded, hit the button on the fare machine, eyes straight ahead. Nothing about him stood out at first. He just looked tired in that works nights forever way. The only thing that really mattered to me back then was getting home to my little sister's messages. Lily was 16 at the time, lived in our hometown with our mom. She'd text me while I was on the bus, random stuff. TikTok links, screenshots of drama from her school, photos of our old dog. I used to joke that she was my late-night playlist. That part's important. Her texts were like this anchor, you know? Something familiar while everything else in my life felt kind of gray and blurry. The first weird night didn't feel like a horror story. It just felt off. I got to the stop around 1:05 a.m. It was colder than usual and quiet in a way that felt like the sound had been turned down. Even the laundromat machines, which I could usually hear humming from across the street, seemed muted. The bus arrived dead on 1:10. The digital sign on the front said, 47 Oak Ridge Terminal, last run. I tapped my card, mumbled "hey" to the driver. He didn't answer. Just hit the button, the doors shut with that soft hiss, and we pulled away. I looked around and noticed there were 4 other people on this bus, and I remember them really clearly. There was a guy in a gray suit sitting halfway down on the left, neat hair, briefcase on his lap, eyes on the floor. Across from him, there was a woman with a grocery bag between her feet, dark jacket, scarf, hair tied back. She was staring out the window like she was trying really hard not to look at anything else. At the very back, a girl in a red hoodie with a bright red backpack, earbuds in. She didn't move at all, just stared straight ahead. And closer to the front, on the right, was an older woman in this long brown coat, hands folded over a big purse. Her expression was blank, not tired, not bored, just empty. Nothing about them screamed danger. They just looked like people. But the bus felt weirdly quiet. No coughs, no shifting bags, no music leaking from someone's headphones. Just the engine and the soft track noise of the tires on the road. We passed the usual places: the bakery, the closed diner, the empty gas station. I was scrolling through my phone, talking to Lily. She texted, "You alive, or did call center finally suck out your soul?" I smiled, typed back, "On the bus, 47 again, be home in like 30. She sent a skull emoji and a selfie with a blanket over her head like a ghost. I looked up to check where we were, and that's when I noticed something small. We passed this weird neon sign, a bright pink one in the shape of a coffee cup in a window of some little cafe. I'd never noticed it before, but whatever, maybe I just hadn't been paying attention. A couple minutes later, I looked up again. Same coffee cup sign. Same empty cafe. Same broken streetlight next to it, flickering in the exact same rhythm. I frowned, leaned closer to the window. Maybe there were 2 cafes with the same sign. Cities repeat themselves sometimes, right? I let it go. But then I looked around the bus again and thought, did anyone move? The guy in the suit still staring at the floor. The woman with the grocery bag still frozen in that same position. The girl in the red hoodie still straight ahead, not moving her hands, not fixing her hair, not checking her phone. The older woman, same blank expression, same hands folded. It was like someone had taken a picture and just left them like that. I felt my stomach do a slow, uncomfortable twist. I tried to laugh it off in my head. Relax, dude. People sit still all the time. You're tired. I went back to my phone. A few stops passed. No one got on, no one got off. The stop requested light never turned on. Normally, someone gets off before my stop. Every other night, I'd watch the same 3 stops: the hospital, the small apartment block with the broken intercom, the mini-mart with the blue sign. But this time, we just glided past everything. No bell, no new people. I rang the stop button early, just in case, so the driver would stop at Oak Ridge. The red stop requested light came on over the aisle. We passed the mini-mart. We were almost at my stop. The driver didn't slow down. My skin prickled. I waited another second, then hit the button again, harder, like maybe I hadn't pressed it right. The light was still on. We passed my stop, just kept going. "Hey," I called out, leaning forward. "Hey, this is my stop." No reaction from the driver. Hands at 10 and 2, eyes straight ahead. I glanced back at the other passengers, expecting someone else to look annoyed or confused. Nothing. No one looked up. I stood and grabbed the pole, feeling the bus rolling faster than it usually did on that stretch. The windows showed streets I didn't recognize. "Sir?" My voice sounded small. "You missed my stop." The driver finally moved. He didn't turn his head, didn't sigh or apologize or anything normal. He just raised his eyes to the rearview mirror and looked at me through it. I don't know how to explain his expression. It wasn't angry. It wasn't tired. He looked almost disappointed. "You weren't supposed to still be here," he said. And then, like nothing happened, he looked back at the road. Everything in me went cold. "What?" I said, a little louder. He didn't answer. The bus just kept going. The streets outside got emptier. Fewer buildings, more dark stretches of road. The streetlights were spaced further apart, so the inside of the bus kept falling into shadow, then briefly lighting up, then dropping back into dim. "Stop the bus," I said. "Seriously, stop the bus." Nothing. I stumbled closer, grabbing a pole. "Hey, stop the—" I never finished because the bus lurched to a sudden stop so hard I almost fell. No beeping, no blinker, just an aggressive, jarring halt. The doors hissed open. We weren't at a proper stop. We were just on some empty road. No houses, no sidewalk, just a strip of grass and darkness. The driver still didn't look at me. "Off," he said. That was it, just that one word. "Where are we?" I asked, my voice shaking now. "End of the line," he said. I checked the sign above him, the digital one that usually showed the route. It wasn't words anymore, just a solid block of red, like the display had glitched. I looked back at the other passengers, hoping someone else would protest, speak up, something. They were all standing now. Not in some natural way, like they'd just decided to get up. They were all already on their feet, in the aisle, facing forward. The guy in the suit, the woman with the grocery bag, which she was still holding between her feet, like it had moved with her. The girl in the red hoodie with the red backpack. The older woman in the brown coat. None of them were looking at me. They were all looking at the driver. "Off," the driver repeated. The sound of that word felt wrong, like it echoed a little, even though the bus was small. My brain started doing that panicked logic thing. This is some weird route change. Maybe he's ending early. Maybe something's wrong with the bus. Maybe. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Lily. "Don't get off." My heart started pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I stared at the message, then at the open doors, then at the dark road. The driver's fingers tightened around the steering wheel. "Last chance," he said. "Off, now." I backed away instead. He stared at me in the mirror. His eyes looked darker than before, like the whites weren't as white, like something had smeared gray over them. "Suit yourself," he muttered. The doors hissed shut, and without another word, without any announcement, the bus started moving again. What followed felt like someone had dropped me into the wrong version of the city. There were no more bus stops, no signs, no ads at the side of the road, just this long stretch of nothing, lit by those rare, lonely streetlights. The other passengers didn't sit down. They just stayed standing in the aisle, all lined up, facing forward. Too still, too quiet. The girl in the red hoodie was closest to me now. Her hood was up and her hair covered part of her face. I couldn't see her eyes. "Excuse me?" I whispered, my voice barely there. "Do you know where this bus is going?" Her head turned towards me just a fraction, like she'd heard the sound, but she didn't answer. Her earbud cable hung down, but it wasn't connected to anything. It just looped into her pocket and disappeared. No phone, no player, just a useless wire. The driver spoke again, low, like he was talking to himself. "Should have gotten off with the others." I looked at the windows. It was like the outside wasn't moving anymore. The same patch of road, the same broken streetlight, the same little reflective sign bent at the same angle. Over and over. Like we were looping one stretch of street. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Lily. "Count them." My throat tightened. I looked around slowly. The man in the suit. The woman with the grocery bag. The girl in the red hoodie. The older lady in the brown coat. 4 of them. Plus me. 5, I whispered. Immediately, my brain pulled up something I didn't even know I remembered. A news alert from months earlier. I'd been at work, bored between calls, scrolling my feed. There'd been a headline, 5 dead in late-night bus crash on Route 47. I hadn't clicked. I'd just skimmed it and kept scrolling, because it didn't have anything to do with me back then. But now, my heart was racing, palms sweating. And for some reason, that headline was bright and sharp in my mind. 5 dead. Route 47. Last run of the night. I shakily opened my browser and typed Route 47 bus accident into the search bar. My hands were shaking so hard it auto-corrected 3 times. The signal kept flickering between one bar and none, but eventually a page loaded. Old news article, local site, grainy photos. There was a picture of a smashed-up bus on its side, windshield shattered, glass everywhere. They'd blurred parts of the photo, so they were just vague shapes and pixelated blocks. The article said the crash had happened exactly 1 year before. Same route, last bus of the night. The description of the passengers hit harder than the image. A businessman heading home from a late meeting. A young girl wearing a red hoodie and carrying a backpack. An older woman returning from visiting her son. A middle-aged woman with grocery bags. And the driver. My vision tunneled. Someone touched my arm. I flinched so hard I almost cried out. It was the older woman in the brown coat. Up close, her eyes weren't blank. They were too bright, sharp in a way that didn't match how still her face looked. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, polite even, like she was giving advice about taking a different shortcut. I didn't do anything," I stammered. "I just got on the bus, like every night. I just want to go home." She blinked slowly. "Everyone wants to go home," she said. Behind her, the man in the suit finally lifted his head. His eyes were wet, like he'd been crying a long time ago and never really stopped. "We didn't know either," he said. "Not when we got on. Thought it was just another ride." I took a step back, bumping into one of the poles. The girl in the red hoodie turned her head slightly. I still couldn't see her face fully, but I saw the pale curve of her cheek. "It doesn't stop," she murmured. Her voice sounded like it was coming through a wall, faint, muffled. "For us, it doesn't stop anymore." I looked up toward the front. The driver's shoulders seemed heavier now, like he was carrying something you couldn't see. "This isn't funny," I said, my voice cracking. "If this is some messed up prank or—" The lights in the bus flickered. They went completely out for half a second. When they came back on, the whole bus was empty. Everyone was gone. Just me and the driver. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might pass out. For a long second, it was just the hum of the engine and my breathing. Then the driver spoke. "Sit down, Jake." Hearing my name from him made something deep inside me twist. "How do you—" I swallowed. "How do you know my name?" He didn't answer that. "Sick," he repeated. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I slid into the nearest seat, hands gripping my knees to stop them from shaking. The bus was still moving, but the windows now showed only black. Not even the fake loop of streetlights. Just nothing, like we were driving through the inside of a blackout. "You weren't supposed to be on this run," the driver said. His voice was different now, less monotone, more human. "This run is for them." "For who?" I asked, though I already knew. "The ones who don't get off," he said. "The ones who never made it home." I thought of the article, those blurred-out faces. 5 lives boiled down to a paragraph. Are they ghosts?" I asked, hating how childish it sounded. He shrugged one shoulder. "Labels don't help," he said. "Doesn't matter what you call it. The route is stuck. A piece of time that never ended right. It keeps running." He paused. "And some nights, it pulls in people who aren't meant to be there." I swallowed hard. "Like me?" "Like you," he agreed. "Why me?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away. His fingers tapped the steering wheel, a slow, rhythmic pattern that almost matched my heart rate. "You remember the crash," he said finally. "I read about it," I muttered. "Before that," he said. I frowned. Before what? He finally turned his head and looked at me directly, not through the mirror. "You were supposed to be on that bus," he said. Everything in me went cold. "No," I said immediately. "That doesn't make sense. I didn't even live here then. I moved after—" My brain stopped, because that wasn't true. I had lived there then, at a different apartment closer to downtown. I'd taken buses sometimes. I just never thought about the exact dates. A memory surfaced, slow and heavy. I was supposed to meet someone that night. A friend, Ryan, had invited me to grab a drink near Oak Ridge. I'd said yes, then canceled last minute because I was exhausted from work. I'd texted him, "Sorry man, rain check, too wiped. You go without me." His reply had been, "Suit yourself, last bus anyway." Last bus. I looked down at my hands. "Ryan," I whispered, "my friend. He died in a bus accident that same week." The driver nodded once. "He did," he said. "Different bus, different line, but same kind of night. Those things stick. They echo." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lily. "You skipped that night. That's why you're not supposed to be here." My eyes burned. "Why is she texting like she knows all this?" I choked out. "She's just a kid. She was in another city." The driver's expression shifted. Something like pity passed over his face. "Jake," he said quietly, "when was the last time you actually talked to your sister?" "Yesterday," I shot back, too fast. "We text all the time. She sends me memes and—" My voice faltered, because I suddenly couldn't remember a single conversation from yesterday, or the day before, or the week before. What I remembered were old things. Her sending me a photo of her new haircut, her asking if she could come visit the city, her complaining about some teacher. But dates? They were all jungled, all blurred. I opened our chat and scrolled up, looking for the tiny gray date stamps. The most recent normal conversation was from over a year ago. Everything after that, just me, sending messages. "Hey, you up? Call me when you see this. Hey, you ghosting me or what? Mom said you're mad at me?" No replies, just me talking into a void. The last message from her, before these weird don't get off texts tonight, was, "Be safe, okay? People drive crazy late at night." It was sent the night of that original Route 47 crash. A year ago. My throat closed up. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." Tears blurred my vision. "What happened to her?" I asked, though I already knew. Some part of me had known for a while. I just never let it to the surface. The driver didn't answer. My phone buzzed one more time. One final message from Lily. "I'm okay. You're the one who's stuck." I don't remember how long I sat there, gripping my phone like it was the only real thing left. The bus hummed. The world outside stayed black. Eventually, the driver spoke again. "There's usually no fixing it," he said. "The route runs how it runs." "Then why talk to me?" I croaked. "Because you're not dead," he said simply. "Your body's out there, on a regular bus, drooling on the window or scrolling through your phone. Your mind just wandered into the wrong place. You followed an old echo." "That doesn't make any sense," I muttered. He actually gave a small, humorless laugh. "Does any of this seem like it cares about making sense?" he asked. I had no answer. "What do I do?" I whispered. He was quiet a long time. The engine noise seemed softer, like we were coasting instead of driving. "Get off before it ends," he said finally. "What ends?" "The loop," he said. "If you ride it all the way through, you stay. You become part of the route, another shape on the seats, another person who never made it home." He glanced at me. "You got one chance left. You didn't get off when I stopped before. So the route will try one more time. It'll show you something you want, something you're scared of. It'll give you a door and wait to see if you step through it." I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "What if I miss it?" I asked. "Then you keep riding," he said softly, "until time forgets you." The lights flickered again. When they came back, the bus was normal. The windows showed real streets, real buildings, real lights. We were back on the route I recognized. I looked around and almost sobbed with relief when I saw other passengers. A tired-looking guy in a work uniform, a girl asleep with her head against the window, a guy scrolling TikTok with the volume too loud. Everything looked right. My hands were still shaking, but the familiar ugliness of the bus, graffiti, dirty floor, flickering fluorescent bulbs, never looked better. I glanced at the driver. It was Norman again. Same tired face, same blank look ahead. For a second, I wondered if I'd just fallen asleep and had the worst nightmare of my life. Then I saw the reflection in the driver's mirror. Not of me, of the other driver, the one from the other route. He wasn't really there, but in the mirror, behind Norman's reflection, I could see him watching me. He mouthed one word: "Soon." The bus rolled on. We passed the mini-mart with the blue sign. We passed the little diner. I watched the stops count down. The red "Stop Requested" light blinked on and off as people got off and on. My stop was next. I stood, heart pounding, gripping the poles so hard my knuckles went white. The bus slowed. The announcer voice glitched for half a second, then said, "Next stop, Oak Ridge." The doors hissed open. I stepped toward them and froze. Standing right outside under the street lamp was Lily. She was exactly how I remembered. Hair in a messy bun, oversized hoodie, ripped jeans. Hands shoved into her pockets, one foot turned in slightly, like she always did when she was nervous. She was looking right at me. "Hey, lazy," she called, grinning. "You coming or what?" My entire body went numb. "Lily?" I whispered. She rolled her eyes. "Who else?" she laughed. "Come on, Mom's making that gross casserole you like." The world narrowed to just her face. She looked so real. The way she squinted one eye more than the other when she smiled, the tiny scar near her eyebrow from when she fell off her bike as a kid. I took a step forward. Behind me, the bus felt like it was holding its breath. In the reflection of the window, I saw the other driver again, in the mirror, shaking his head slowly. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I forced myself. One message from Lily. The real one, or whatever was left of her, wherever she was. "Don't get off for me." My heart felt like it was splitting in two. "Jake," the Lily at the bus stop said, her smile flickering just slightly now. Too wide, too perfect. "You're not scared, are you?" I took another half step, then stopped, toes at the edge of the bus floor, inches from the concrete. "Say something only you would know," I choked out. She tilted her head. "Seriously?" "Say it." She sighed dramatically, then smirked. "You cried at that Pixar movie with the old man and the balloons," she said. "You still deny it." My chest hurt. She wasn't wrong. "Anything else?" I pushed. She frowned. "Why are you being so weird?" I squeezed my eyes shut for half a second, then opened them. "What's the last thing you texted me?" I asked. Her face twitched. The lights inside the bus dimmed just a hair. The air felt thicker. "Stop being annoying and come on," she snapped. But her voice sounded wrong now, a little too flat underneath the forced tone. I took a step back. Her smile vanished. Her eyes darkened, the irises swallowing more of the white. Behind her, the streetlight flickered, then stayed off. The world outside the bus looked less real, like a backdrop, like a stage. "I miss you," she said, her voice now soft, almost pleading. "Don't you miss me?" Tears slipped down my cheeks. "Every day," I whispered. "Then come home," she said, reaching a hand toward the doors. My phone buzzed again. Last message. "Go home, but not like this." I stared at the outstretched hand. Then I stepped back, inside the bus, away from her. "No," I forced out, my voice shaking. "You're not her, and if you are, you wouldn't want this." For a second, her face went completely blank. Then her mouth twisted into something that wasn't a smile anymore. The doors hissed shut, almost like the bus had made the decision for me. Her outline outside the glass shimmered. The bus pulled away. I watched Lily under the street lamp stretch, distort, and then collapse in on itself like a reflection in disturbed water. Then she was gone. Just an empty bus stop in the rear window. The rest of the ride felt unreal. The bus dropped me off, for real this time, at Oak Ridge. The cold air hit me like a slap when I stepped down. For a second, I half expected the world to glitch, for the bus to still be there when I turned around. But when I looked back, it was just a normal bus pulling away. Interior lights bright, tail lights glowing red. I walked home in a daze. When I got inside my apartment, I didn't turn on the TV or music. I just sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, staring at Lily's chat. There was no new message. I scrolled all the way up, read every line, laughed at some of the old jokes, cried at others. Then I opened my voicemail. There was one I'd never noticed, timestamped from months ago, buried under spam calls and work stuff. The caller ID said, "Unknown." I pressed play. Static at first, then my own voice, shaking and desperate. "Hey, if you ever hear this, don't get on the last bus. I know that sounds stupid, but just don't. If you feel like something's repeating, or you see the same people over and over, or you feel like you've been on that ride before, get off. Walk. Take an Uber. I don't care. Just don't stay on it, please." The message cut out. The date on it was exactly 1 year after the original Route 47 crash. The same night I'd had the first weird ride. It was like some part of me had already been stuck once and clawed its way halfway back. And now it was warning me. Since that night, I don't take the bus after dark, at all. If I have to work late, I pay for a ride share. If I can't afford it, I walk, even if it takes an hour. People laugh when they hear that. It's just a bus, man, chill. But they weren't there when reality folded in on itself. They didn't see the same faces frozen in repeat. They didn't get texts from someone who shouldn't be able to text anymore. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I look up that old news article again, the one about the crash. I stare at the blurred-out photo of the driver. It's always the same, except once. Just once, about a month ago, I opened the article and the blurred face looked a little clearer. Not fully, just enough that I thought I could make out exactly who was behind the wheel. It looked like me. I refreshed the page and the blur was back. Might have been my imagination. Might not. The last thing that happened, the thing that pushed me to finally write this down, happened last week. I was walking home around 11 p.m., past the usual intersection, and heard a familiar rumble behind me. A bus. I knew the sound without turning around. My skin broke out in goosebumps. I told myself not to look, kept walking. But curiosity is stubborn, and horror loves when you look back. So I glanced. A bus rolled past me slowly. Same model, same line. I froze on the sidewalk as it passed under the streetlight. From where I stood, I could see into the windows. Most of the seats were dark, shadows layered over shadows. But in one of them, near the middle, there was a guy sitting by himself. Head leaned against the glass, eyes closed. For a second I thought, poor dude, another tired night worker. Then the bus rolled a little further, and the angle of the light shifted, and I saw his face clearly. It was mine. Not like a vague resemblance, not like a trick of reflections. It was me. Same hoodie, same hair, same tired lines at the corners of my eyes that hadn't been there a few years ago. That version of me didn't look out the window, didn't see me watching. He just sat there, empty, letting the city roll by. The bus passed the intersection and disappeared down the street. I stood there a long time, heart pounding, cold air burning my lungs, and this thought lodged in my skull like a splinter. Maybe that's the version of me that never got off, the one that stayed, the one riding that loop forever. So if you ever find yourself on a late-night bus or train and you start seeing the same faces night after night, or the same building repeatedly, or the driver acts like you're not supposed to be there, don't just shrug it off. Ring the bell. Get off. Walk. Because some routes aren't just routes. They're traps, and once they decide you're part of them, they don't let you go.